Leaders Fountain of Impact. Today, I'm going to be taking you in another session in these tutorials. Now, we have on the board what we call the linear equation. Yes, guys, we are going to be examining the concept of linear equation in this tutorial video. Now, please pay attention to this. This video is going to be in different segments. Yes, of course, it's going to be in different segments. We're going to have it in series. It's going to be a series of teaching. So when you watch this first video, you're going to look out for other videos related to linear equation for you to get the full details of what we will be looking at in linear equation and what is expected of you to know as a student. Now, guys, we have on the board what we call linear equation, guys. Now, most of us in our secondary school days, we have linear equation. Even till now, some of us in universities, we are still having issues with linear equation. Yes, we cannot solve some linear equations effectively without somebody helping us. Now, in this video tutorial, I am going to hold you by the hand and walk you through the step-by-step process of solving linear equations of any form. Yes, of any form. You heard me right. Now, guys, before I dive into explaining what linear equation is, I'm going to quickly explain what we mean by what the term equation. Guys, what is an equation? Now, an equation is a mathematical statement that shows equality between two functions. Now, guys, in linear equation, or generally in equation, we have what we call the left-hand side and we have what we call the right-hand side. Now, we just mentioned two functions. One of these functions we occupy the left-hand side and the other we occupy the right-hand side. Now, in equation, there is a rule or a principle that you must know, that the left-hand side is always equal to the right-hand side. Yes. So in mathematics or in equation, we have what we call the left and we have what we call the right hand side. So these are the two expressions that are being defined or that were defined in the definition of an equation. Now, guys, what therefore is linear equation? Linear equation is a mathematical statement that contains only terms in one variable and constants. And the highest power of the variable is 1 to degree 1. Now, this variable we are talking about can be alphabet A to Z. Yes, A to Z. The question will come in such a way that only one variable will be present all throughout the equation. Both the left-hand side and the right-hand side, you will have only one variable. And this variable is to degree 1 or has a highest power of 1. All right. Now, guys, like I explained earlier, this is in mathematics, we have so many numbers of equation. Yes, we have so many numbers of equation. And one of it is linear equation, which is a case study of what we are looking at now. Then we have what we call quadratic equation. We have what we call simultaneous equation, etc. Now, guys, in this course of dealing with linear equation, I'm going to quickly take you through a series of linear equation. Now, get it clear, we have different segments. We have different subtopics in linear equation. Now, one of it is what? Direct linear equation. Then number 2 is what? Linear equation involving brackets. Number 3 is linear equation involving fractions. Then number 4, which is the last but not the least, is what? Word problems leading to linear equation. Guys, these are the things that we are going to be looking at, but they are not going to be what? Incorporated in one video. We are going to split them into different videos. So when you finish watching this, please go to the next section or description below and find the next video so that you can continue the learning process. All right. Now, in linear equation, there are basic rules that every student should know. Yes, every student. There are basic principles, basic steps, basic rules that you should know. That when you know these rules or when you have these rules in your hand, you will become a master. Yes, master builders. You will become a master when it comes to solving problems in linear equation. Guys, what are these rules? Now, guys, we have 4 basic rules. All right, yes, 4 basic rules that will help you in solving problems under linear equation, whether direct, with fraction, with bracket, or word problem leading toward linear equation. Guys, what is the first rule? All right, this rule is being given to you based on the wise master's concept. Are you there? Yes, the wise master's approach. These are the rules. The number 1 rule that you must know, that you must have before you start solving problems on linear equation, guys, is Rule number one states that in a linear equation, the variables occupies the left-hand side while the integers or the constants occupies the right-hand side. So this is rule number one, that the integers occupies the right-hand side and the other will occupy the left-hand side. Guys, what is rule number two? The rule number two states that anytime you take a positive sign across the sign of equality, whether it crosses from left to right or from right to left, that positive sign must change to a negative sign, which is the what opposite of positive. So anytime you take a number, an integer or a variable that is positive across the equality sign, therefore that variable must change in its sign. So if it was plus, the plus must change to negative as long as it crosses the sign of equality. Then rule number three, anytime you take a negative variable or a negative integer across the sign of equality, whether from the left to the right or from the right to the left, that negative sign must change to opposite sign, which is positive. So understand that anytime you collect a negative sign, a negative integer, or you collect a like terms and you take a negative value from the left hand to the right hand or from the right hand to the left hand side, understand that that negative sign must change to positive sign. Then lastly, but not the least, the rule number four states that anytime you have successfully separated the variables from the integer in such a way that at the right hand side, get it clear, at the right hand side, the variable has a coefficient greater than or less than 1, you must divide both sides by the coefficient of that variable. Yes, this is when you have already collected like terms, you have divided both sides, you have cross multiplied, you have done all you have to do, and at this point you only have one term to the left hand side and one term to the right hand side. And now you have a variable, for instance an alphabet like x, carrying a coefficient less than 1. In such scenario, you must divide both sides by the coefficient of x. You are going to see this in the description, and we are going to have this popped up on the screen. But get it clear, there are four basic rules. There are four basic rules to solving linear equations effectively. One is the variable must occupy the left hand side while the integers occupy the right hand side. Then rule number two says anytime a positive sign crosses the sign of equality, it must change to negative sign. Then number three says anytime a negative sign crosses the sign of equality, it must change to positive sign. And number four says anytime the coefficient of the variable is greater than or less than 1, you must divide both sides by the coefficient of x. These are the four basic rules that you need to solve problems on linear equations effectively. Guys, we are going to get into quadratic and simultaneous equation very shortly, but let's quickly begin to solve problems under linear equation using these four basic rules. Of course, we understand that a linear equation is an equation that contains only terms in one variable. Yes, only terms in one variable and constant, and the highest power of the variable is 1. And in equation, the left hand side always equals to the right hand side. So see you as we begin to solve problems and